I hate my special needs sister and I'm done hiding it. When my younger sister was born, she almost died from hypoxia. She suffered severe brain damage to the point where doctors doubted she would survive. She has survived and she's 16 years old now. However, she is about as close to brain dead as a living person can get. She can't move, she can't communicate, she can't eat or drink on her own. She has no control over her bowels, so she has to wear diapers. She will never get better and she will never live a normal life. Despite that, my mother has ruined our family, hoping she will have a miracle and recover. My mother has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my sister, everything from wheelchairs to doctor visits. We had to live in a one-bedroom apartment for 11 years because my mother spent all of the money she made on my sister. Nothing she bought made any difference. She will always be a drooling mess. Since my mother believes she will get better, she made me treat her like she was a real sister. I lost all of my friends growing up because my mom made me take her everywhere I went. If I told my mom I was going to the park, she would say, "Oh, a park? That sounds like something Jess would like. Take her with you." Not once did she stop to think about how absurd she sounded talking to her. One time, my mom took her to a movie theater. They made it barely 30 minutes through the movie before staff kicked her out because my sister was making so much noise, coughing and choking on her saliva. Despite all this, I somewhat tolerated my sister until a few hours ago. I mentioned to my mother that I had planned a date with a girl I met at work. My mom said, "That sounds like fun, but I'm having coffee with a friend from college, so can you take care of Jess while I'm gone?" I told her that I couldn't because of my date and suggested that she hire a babysitter. My mother then said that I should just take her with me. And then I just exploded. I told her how stupid she was for suggesting such a thing. Bring my severely disabled, crippled sister along with me on a date with a girl because you are too lazy to hire a sitter? How crazy are you to think that's a good idea? Every moment of my life has been about Jess. I'm not supposed to have a career or a family of my own because I need to take care of Jess when my mom dies. My mom even discouraged me from going to college because then I wouldn't be able to take care of her. I told her how much damage she has done to the family because of my sister. We struggled financially my entire life, not because my mom is low income, but because she spent all of our money on Jess. We drove a crappy 1996 Subaru Outback for years and my mom couldn't afford to buy a new car. But she had no problem shelling out thousands to see a specialist doctor who will say the same thing every doctor has. My sister is a glitch. She's not supposed to be here. She will never live a normal life. There's no reason she shouldn't be put in a home. I'm just so frustrated right now. I'm thinking about cutting ties with her and reconnecting with my father. My dad divorced her once he realized that the rest of his life was going to be taking care of Jess. I can't fault him. My mom forbid me from contacting him, but he's not the bad guy here.
Am I the asshole for not allowing my child to change schools so she can dye her hair? I, male 38, have a daughter, Mabel, female 15. I'm Mabel's sole parent. Her mother signed full custody over to me and hasn't been in the picture since our daughter was 1. Being a single dad hasn't been easy, but I'm now married to my wife of 2 years, Sarah, female 39. Sarah has 2 children, female 16 and male 12, from a previous relationship. Before we moved in together, we had an agreement that we wouldn't discipline each other's biological children to prevent any resentment, considering their ages when we got together. For the past couple of weeks, Mabel has been begging me to let her dye her hair purple. I've told Mabel no because unnatural hair colors are against her school's rules. If she comes into school with purple hair, they will keep sending her home until it's a natural color again. This happened to one of my friend's children. This would result in Mabel missing classes and I just don't want to risk it. I tried to compromise and told Mabel we could do a temporary wash in washout purple dye over the Christmas holidays, but she is being very impatient. Mabel has now been asking to change schools as there's another school in our area that allows unnatural hair colors. Once again, I told Mabel, am I the asshole for not allowing my child to change schools so she can dye her hair? First of all, it is petty, but Mabel goes to the same secondary school as her step-siblings. We would have to leave the house very early to get them all to school on time. Secondly, the school that Mabel wants to change to has a very, very poor reputation for not teaching the students anything and letting them get away with murder. We live in a small town and word spreads. Thirdly, we've had no problems with Mabel's current school. Her grades are decent, the teachers are good at what they do, and Mabel has lots of friends there. Mabel has expressed no other reason for changing schools other than wanting to dye her hair. I tried to explain to Mabel that her education is more important than this, but she insists that she should be able to look how she wants. Mabel has been complaining about how unfair I'm being to Sarah. Sarah brought it up to me in private and suggested I let my daughter change schools. She said autonomy and self-expression is important and that Mabel should get to make some choices for herself. I shut it down and said that I'm not letting Mabel change schools just so that she can dye her hair. Sarah said I'm being unreasonable and controlling. Edit. We don't live in America. Schools not allowing unnatural hair colors is a pretty standard rule and the vast majority don't allow it. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for kicking my brother's girlfriend and her kid out of my house at Sunday dinner? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 31 female, have a great relationship with my family. We get together on most Sundays to do an early dinner. We alternate between my parents hosting or hosting at my husband and I's home. I also have a younger brother who's 27 who lives alone. So yesterday I was hosting dinner. It was supposed to be my parents, mom's best friend who was visiting, my brother, my husband, and I. I planned a nice meal: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, asparagus, roasted squash, stuffing, cranberry sauce, roasted Brussels sprouts with apples and bacon. About an hour before we planned on eating, my brother texted me to let me know his girlfriend Becky, 32, was with him along with her daughter Jessica, 9. Not a big deal, but a little more notice would have been appreciated because his girlfriend and her kid are vegetarian. I set 2 more places at the table and figured they could eat the sides. I'll be honest, I don't really care for his girlfriend, but my family has a rule: we don't mess with other people's relationships. Becky just seems very opportunistic and her kid is very weird. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother's girlfriend and her kid out of my house at Sunday dinner? Disclaimer, this is not my story. We sat down for dinner and Jessica asked where April was going to sit. I looked around confused. Bianca then said that April is her imaginary friend. Her daughter is 9, turning 10. She started crying that April needs to eat and having a total tantrum. My mom tried to calm things down, suggesting she share her plate and seat, which she refused, demanding a chair and a plate. Becky said to just set a spot. My dining room table has 8 chairs, all in use. The kid got louder and everyone else stared in shock. She tossed herself on the ground. I got flustered and told her to please get her to stop. Becky called me rude and heartless for not giving in to her kids. She also said that she knows I hate kids and that's why we don't have any. She then ranted about how I knew they were vegetarian and it was rude of me not to offer a main that was vegetarian friendly and that I put bacon and Brussels sprouts. I said I didn't know they were coming and I wasn't the one who invited her. I told her if she can't respect me in my home, she should leave. She screamed at my brother that they're leaving, but he said he was staying. Everyone was in shock, but we all ate, and my brother silenced his phone because she was blowing him up. Am I the asshole for calling my fiancé selfish for refusing to let my dad walk me down the aisle? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My fiancé, 26 male, and I, 23 female, have been together for over 2 years. I don't have a big family, it's just my dad and my older sister. My dad has always been a single parent, devoting his life for me and my sister and working over 14 plus jobs in the past 6 years to provide for us. I love my dad and we have the best relationship anyone could hope for. However, my fiancé does not get along with him. They have different opinions on so many things. For example, my fiancé one time suggested to have my dad to sell his truck he has because it's been sitting there for years. My dad got offended because it's my grandfather's truck and he has no money to get it fixed right now. Another example is my fiancé got mad at my dad at a party for talking about his struggles after my mom's death and accused him of collecting sympathy points, but my dad said he always talks about it casually. The recent disagreement was when my dad refused to give my fiancé money to contribute to the wedding. My fiancé complained, but I said my dad isn't obligated to. Am I the asshole for calling my fiancé selfish for refusing to let my dad walk me down the aisle? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My fiancé complained, but I said my dad isn't obligated to pay for the wedding. Yesterday, my fiancé told me to look for someone else to walk me down the aisle, and I asked why. He said that my dad refused to help with the wedding and he should be grateful he's still invited. I got upset and argued that for one, my dad refused to contribute because he has no money. And 2, just like any bride, I want my dad to walk me down the aisle on my wedding day. He threw a fit saying that I was trying to ruin his mood and get him upset on our wedding day, but I called him selfish for wanting to take away the moment I always dreamed of over his disagreements with my dad. It's not fair given that me and my dad are on great terms. He yelled at me for calling him selfish and said it's our wedding, not just mine, and said that I clearly don't care about him if he's uncomfortable, then walked out. He's really mad and is insisting that I'm being inconsiderate and projecting on him when I called him selfish. So am I the asshole?
I'm the asshole for showing up pregnant to a friend's wedding. I used to be good friends with this girl, and let's call her Nancy, in high school. Life happened, we drifted apart, so I was kind of surprised when I got a wedding invitation about 5 months ago. Since we have a lot of friends in common, and I move abroad, I haven't seen them in a while, but I decided to go. It was a little tense on the day. A lot of the girls in the bridal party were annoyed with how many requirements were to be included. No unnatural hair colors, no non-nude nails, and because of it, I guess the bridal party was half the normal size. It still included Nancy's cousin, who's my best friend, Sarah. Everything went well at the reception until one of the groomsmen proposed a toast and Sarah gave me a glass of champagne, which I quietly declined. She understood what this meant and was aware. Congratulated me a little bit loudly, and a few girls around me heard, and it went like dominoes. Everyone was congratulating me. I was mortified, but shit really hit the fan when Nancy showed up. Eyes full of tears, asking us to leave in front of everyone, as we ruined her day. I guess one of the other rules is not to have any big announcements happen. At first I was angry. Now I just feel a bit bad. So am I the asshole here?